Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. Damage control. Damage control. Damage control.
Is it just me, or is this song sad in a way? This is kind of like
it was catchy.
It's pretty, it's catchy, but there's a sadness to this song. This is the theme song to the next program. It's called Damage Control, and your hosts today are Joe Reichel and Rob Sobieski. Did I say your name right? Sobieski. And the phone number is the same as all the shows. It's the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622, and we will speak today about storms, hurricanes, and the damage that they bring.
That's right. That's what we're wanting to talk about today, and how to prepare. Most of the time, we find that homeowners and business owners typically don't prepare for them like they should. When a couple years ago we had the hurricanes come through, and in between the first to the second one, people realized how bad it was. So the week prior, everybody was prepared. You know, they were going out and literally getting everything in the stores and ready for the next one. But we have had several threats this year, and people seem to be not really taking it serious. And that's one thing that we want.
I agree.
I want people to understand that, to be prepared ahead of time, make sure that they have the proper supplies. We talked before about making sure your trees are cleaned up, make sure that you don't have debris lying around the home that can be blown around, and making sure one of the most important things is have what they call as a to-go bag or survival kit. Some people call them. There's many options for that, but being prepared in advance, having gas on hand, having extra cash if need be, having an evacuation route. I mean, there's several things that people, having water bottles, having water supplies, supplies for to last you, 3 to 5 days. So these are things that people, we typically, we're encouraged to do, but oftentimes we see people don't do.
And the damage that you can help fix is what you want to fix. You don't want people to lose family members or things like that. That's get out of town if you need to. Yeah. Well, you ready to jump into the phone calls?
Let's do it.
Looks like we have one waiting. Okay. Thank you for calling. Good morning, and thank you for being patient. You're on the air now with Joe and Rob. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good. Very well. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I was just calling, the show to put in, some of my 2 cents. I've got an insurance company here in town, and Joe and I have talked about this in the past as far as what my clients can do and what his potential clients could have avoided of little things. And one of the main areas I see my clients have to file claims in terms of their homeowners insurance is when they leave town, and or if their home isn't going to be occupied for a certain length of time, to go ahead and shut off the water, take the cut the breaker there for the hot water heater. It's little things like that. You see those pressures on the pipes, and pretty soon you can have a $10,000-$15,000 water claim with a deductible, and it could have been easily avoided.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like Michael Carey from Carey Insurance on the phone.
It is the man, the mystery.
There you go. Well, thank you, Mike, for calling in, and definitely it's those little things that like you said, cutting off the water, cutting off the gas supply to the home, even being prepared to board up your home if need be. I mean, these are things that when wind and debris start blowing around, that you want to be prepared for. So it's definitely important to make sure that you have all of your bases covered in case of disaster.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, guys. I enjoyed the show.
Thanks for calling in, Mike.
The other day we had a story that October is the month since they started taking records in the 1850s. That actually October has more hurricanes that hit Florida than any other month. So we're at the beginning of the worst month.
That's it.
Even though we don't think of October normally as a bad storm month, right?
Right.
No, it's not normally considered a bad month.
You know, my mom is in a situation right now, so this kind of applies to her. She's moving into an assisted living facility, but does not want to give up her home. So we're going to keep her home there. And I was just listening to your friend on the phone, and it sounds like we need to turn off the water, because what'll happen? It'll build up? The pressure will build up if you don't turn it on now and then?
Well, there's all kinds of things that can happen. For example, if something happens to the water heater, or a line breaks, and no one's, let's just say a pipe breaks, just because of the pressure on it, and no one's in the home, or no one if you're checking on it routinely, there could be serious damage that's caused because of water sitting.
Really? So
we've got a situation that we're dealing with, a homeowner kind of like that. Maybe Rob can share that story.
Yeah, right now we're dealing with cleaning up excuse me, water loss at this moment, where the folks live in the villages, but their primary residence is in Michigan.
Oh wow.
So they have a neighbor that kind of checks on the house, but what it is the washing machine supply line broke, and they didn't realize it. The neighbor saw the water rushing out of the house. So it could be just failure for different reasons. It's not always due to something actually happening from a storm, perhaps. It could be just couplings coming loose. This hose, in this case, the hose ruptured. There's no way to tell it was going to happen. So keeping the water shut off, like you've mentioned, when the home is unoccupied for amount of time, is a good idea to alleviate some of those problems that could happen. At least if somebody's home, they can keep an eye on it. And
what happened to me one time with the washing machine is a rat or a mouse, I think, chewed into the hose with the water, and it was everywhere. But I heard it. I was like, "Where's that sound coming from?" And I must have caught it right when it happened, because there wasn't much of a mess at all. But
and you were home when this happened.
I was home.
So imagine having to evacuate for a hurricane, or not being home. A bad storm happens, and there could be lots of damage caused in a short amount of time just from water. Or in case of a bad storm, blows a tree on the home, water coming in, or roof blows off.
Have you responded to a call? When you see on the news the flood, all you see is the roof of the house.
We haven't had any like that. We have had several jobs where there's been water in homes, up above the door, couch. Coming in the door. A couple here in Ocala when we get the storm surges that we've had. Some of the storms that in some of the low-lying areas.
Right.
The water retention areas would build up with water. We had a failure here last October. It was, like you mentioned, October.
Do you have to dry the lower parts of the lumber?
Yes.
Or otherwise it would rot, right?
That's right.
So how do you do that?
Well, in this case, it was basically septic backup, because it was the water retention area, and water was coming up through the plumbing. So everything had to get taken out at that point. It gets contaminated. So we have to cut the sheetrock up, all the wall boards and the door trim. The doors had to come out, and at that time bring in drying equipment, dehumidifiers and air movers.
Right.
Decontaminate everything also with the proper mildicides, and dry the house out until it gets to original specs.
And you guys have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe and Rob.
Hey, Joe and Rob, it's Diana Holder. How are you doing?
Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Diana. Diana is the owner of Holder Insurance Company.
All right.
Excellent. Thanks for the call, Diana.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in. I heard you guys talking about the water backing up into your home, and just wanted to mention to all your listeners out there how important it is to check your insurance policies, because a lot of times those coverages are limited, and they do have to be endorsed onto the policy, so you do want to make sure that you've got the proper protection if you end up having a claim like that.
It's important, and I'm glad you brought that up, Diana, because especially for you as an insurance agent, it's important to make sure that your clients are covered properly, in case of a loss. And that's one thing. People, we often find, they buy homeowners insurance or they buy insurance of any kind. They don't really understand it exactly. So it's good to have an insurance agent, like Diana said, that's going to take the time to explain these things to you and go over everything. Make sure that you are properly covered in case of an accident.
Well, and as Larry already mentioned, here we are in a storm season in October, and of course we're we're rooting for some storms out there, right, guys?
Well, storms are good, but we would prefer to avoid them. We don't want people getting hurt.
I know, exactly.
But we're here to take care of them if it happens.
Well, you guys do a phenomenal job, and I just wanted to thank you for taking care of all of our clients, because it's really important that we know that we can refer them to someone who is going to follow through and do quality work. So we really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Diana, for the call.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
On the previous show, Carolyn Biddle said that she had a client and she recommended you guys. They chose to do it themselves, though, and they regret doing it. They didn't. I guess they didn't do it right or something.
Yes, unfortunately, those things do happen, but you hear about them after the fact, where people say, "Oh, we wish we wish we had used you." Ultimately, but.
Rob, you mentioned the odors that might be left by a flood, especially with a septic flood.
Right.
Can you answer what does ozone do? I've heard ozone being used as an odor killer. Do you guys use that, and what does it do actually?
The ozone machines, they eliminate the odor by creating these particles like this you found naturally outside. But the ozone machines, you have to vacate the area. At least for 8 hours at a time, the machines can run, and
so
there's different limitations, but they are effective.
You know when you see a whole house covered with a tent,
right?
Is that what they're doing, or is that for bugs, or could
That's
be either?
typically termite treatment. That's for
okay.
bugs, yeah. Or it could be any insect infestation.
Is that your work too? When we see those tents, do you ever do that?
We've never tented a home.
Never gotten into that.
We've taken care of the damage caused by termites.
Right. Oh, okay.
We have done that. As far as odor treatments, there's several different. We use a process called hydroxyls, which is a green technology we use. There's also chemical treatments to eliminate odors. Depends on what it is and what you're treating as far as how bad it is. Ozone's a very well-known thing. Like Rob said, though, you can't be around it. It's not safe to be around, not safe to have your pets or plants or any rubber in the...
Any rubber?
Anything rubber.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, if... for example, if you're ozoning a garage and you've got your car stored in there, it's gonna...
That's done.
It'll ruin the tires.
Yeah, the tires. And probably the hoses.
Probably.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Oh, wow.
Anything rubber, ozone will destroy. So, it's not so good to be around. But, there's all kinds of different, methods for, getting rid of odors. That's... Depending what it is, though. People say, can you get rid of this? And usually our answer to that is, well, we've got to smell what it is first.
Yeah.
Or how much,
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the damage that's caused by storms, by hurricanes, etc., obviously it's the rain coming down as well as the water coming up. Mm-hmm. Either way, it's going to damage you, and you'll need to have a way to fix it.
Well, you've got water damage. During storms, you have wind damage. Could have tree damage. There's all kinds of things that can happen, because of a storm.
Yeah.
And the effects of a storm. If it's strong enough winds, it's going to take shingles off your house. When shingles come off, then you got the water coming in, so you've got the wind damage. Now you have water damage.
Now, is that something that's often a very difficult thing to pinpoint? If there's a leak here, and I'm pointing straight up, the roof might actually be leaking way over there.
Very possible.
And is that part of what you do as well as figure it out where it is coming from?
Yes, we try and pinpoint the leak. We'll have to get in the attic sometimes if it's up in, if the roof is accessible. Climb in the attic, especially if it could be during a rainstorm, or if we can have someone else on the roof with a water hose perhaps and try and pinpoint a leak. And then, of course, take care of whatever damage has been created, because sometimes it'll saturate the insulation to the point where the insulation is no longer useful, because once it gets wet, then it loses its insulating value, so it has to be replaced. And if it's an extended period of time, then there could be mold growth in the attic throughout the sheetrock, different things. And we'll work with roofers also to get up onto the roof to try and fix the leak, which effective.
Tarp in the area.
I would love for you guys to look at the church I go to, because this church leaks every single time it rains. And I have asked...
It's a holy church.
That was good.
Wow. That was nice.
It was very good. Very quick, too. I've said this to the guy who puts the bucket under the leak. I've said to, I don't know what his role is here, but I say to him, how come
the bucket mover.
The bucket guy, yeah. He's the holy water guy. It's your joke. But he said to me, that's just the way it's built. There's nothing that can be done. Nothing can be fixed. I said, I've never heard of that before. You can't fix a leak? Yeah, has anybody ever said that to you? I'm sorry, but you couldn't help me because mine is built to leak or something like that.
I guess if it's a thatch roof, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, we go to church at that.
You're right.
Yeah, I've never heard of.
So that's why I would love for you guys to look at it and say, come on, here's how you fix that.
Oh, we probably could take a look at it, or a roofer.
Yeah.
That would probably fall into the category of a roofer.
Yeah.
But
there are several style roofs that are more susceptible to leaking. Cedar shakes. They're sometimes difficult to stop the leak, and Spanish tile sometimes can be
slate
difficult
roofs.
to leak.
And we have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good morning. With your insulation in your attic, if for some reason, let's say a roof problem causes it to become wet, will that dry by itself in time, or does that have to be removed?
You talk right now. Take it.
Well, it should be removed, especially if it has been matted down. It's been saturated. Because insulation will lose its value once it's been saturated like that, and it's best to get it out and replace it with good insulation.
Plus, in order to dry the structure, you want to get everything wet out of the area first.
Yeah.
First and foremost, get as much of it dried up as you can.
Yeah.
Insulation will hold the water, so pulling that out will allow for what's left, like the drywall or the wood, structure that's there, to dry out better.
Yeah. Down here in Florida, do you prefer the roll type or the blow-in type of insulation in an attic?
It's just a preference. We do much more of the blow-in type. It's able to get in. Usually you can just put it into whatever height you want, whatever R value you desire.
Yeah.
The blow-in seems to be the most popular.
Is it a little more inexpensive?
It really depends on what you're insulating, or what kind of an R rating, insulating value that you want. Your insulation contractors, Gale Insulation, for example, would be a great resource to call and talk to them. They could, they're salesmen, and they could walk you through exactly what would be best. Right. A lot of times, in building homes, the engineers they'll spec it out. Architects will spec it for a certain whatever is needed in order to insulate the home properly, and that's what we go with.
Is insulation basically life for life in a home, or after a certain period of time it has to be added to or replaced?
That's a really good question. You'd find over time, and we've seen this in older homes, that insulation has matted down considerably just over time, and it's always good to check that and possibly add to. Or in some cases, we've even had companies come in and remove the old insulation and blow new in.
Yeah, insulation will settle.
Yeah.
So, it's always good. Especially like Rob said, older homes or something that they didn't insulate as good as they do nowadays.
Yeah. Do you do any of that, like foaming in the walls? That seems to be kind of a big thing now, recently.
Yes, that is, and it really depends on what the homeowner wants. Or what's the best application. I think you're talking like an Icynene product.
Right.
Icynene is a great great way to insulate, but it is one of the more costly methods.
It is.
So, but you're going to get the best return for your money with it. So, really it depends. It depends on the individual homeowner decision, and what's best for them, and also what fits their pocketbook best.
Is that material put in the walls from the outside or in the inside?
Typically, on new construction, it's put in from the inside.
Yeah. But existing building?
It really depends. That's a great question. It really depends on the type of building and where you're going with it.
Yeah. I'm trying to find ways to cut my electric bill down, and I've been up in the attic. The insulation is decent, but it could be improved. I had some wet spots in the corners, and I'm thinking of either going that route or in the walls or something. But I can contact you people, and you could send somebody out and give me an idea what I need to do, right?
Sure, give us a call. We can give you some recommendations.
Okay.
There's several ways to cut down your electric bill. I mean, one of them is to maybe update your windows. Check your windows and see they're how well insulated they are.
Yeah.
That's just another option.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for the call.
You bet. Bye now.
We got a few more minutes if you'd like to call Joe and Rob. The number here is 622-9622. That's the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. And Joe and Rob are with Damage Control Services, just so you don't confuse the two. And what is the number over at Damage Control Services?
622-5135 is our office number. My direct line is 817-6574. And my email is joe@damageflorida.com.
All right.
My contact information, my cell phone is 817-3625, and email rob@damageflorida.com.
The one thing you didn't mention yet regarding storms is lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit, the damage it can do or the ways to prevent the damage.
Damage that lightning can do, we've done several claims for lightning. One of them was a home in the Villages that was struck by lightning, caught fire, and was a complete loss.
Oh, no.
We ended up going in, taking it all the way down to the block walls, and then rebuilding the home. That was worst case scenario, really, with that one. So, and then we had one just a couple weeks ago where lightning hit a tree directly beside the home and blew pieces of debris through the home.
Holy cow.
I guess, softball size hole on the exterior, and inside with the drywall a little bit bigger. But I've got pictures of that one on Facebook if you want to see pictures of that one on our Damage Control Facebook page. But the ways to prevent lightning, you definitely, the lightning rods are a good way to prevent lightning damage.
Do you need just one per home, or because I sometimes, like on commercial buildings, I see lots of them.
There are companies that you could call to get their recommendations. Some electricians will do this work, but there are surge protection or lightning control companies that you could find that will give you their opinion. Sometimes they'll even put it in the trees around a home to try and suppress that strike, because the trees will attract the lightning first.
And I imagine this is not your area, but I see them on the horse farms. I guess that's to protect the horses, right?
Mm-hmm. Anywhere lightning can strike. it's a good place to have.
I guess it's on this building.
Probably a good chance the building will have some sort of lightning protection.
So I don't have any lightning rods on my home. So is that easy? Would I go to Lowe's and buy them, or is there a lightning control lightning rod guy who puts them on?
There's companies that do. I know in the Villages, because there's so many homes so close together, there's quite a few companies that work in that area. Then that's what they do is lightning protection against lightning strikes. So, I don't know of a local company.
But does the lightning, when it gets into the electrical system of the house, does it fry the wiring?
There are some cases where that's happened. The job Joe was just speaking about, it was a several-hour job for the power company because it literally melted all of the copper wiring in the panel box. They had to redig outside, put a new supply line into the house.
Oh my goodness!
Pull the whole panel box out. It was a literal explosion, which even blew out the windows of the van that was sitting next to the tree.
Wow!
And the amount of power that went through those power lines was incredible, and it can damage the power supplies, but some of the limited protection you can do is surge protectors. The plug-in surge protectors could possibly help a lot with some more the more expensive appliances you might have. Electronics.
The only thing I unplug my computer right now. It's unplugged because I never know what's going to happen when I'm not there. But the refrigerator stays plugged in.
Mm-hmm. That has to stay plugged in.
Yeah. So you have no choice. If that one gets hit, it's hit, right?
That's right.
Is that part of what you do? Is appliances also when you're controlling like the after effect of damage? Do you help out in that regard?
we help homeowners with every aspect of the disaster. We're able to come in and do everything from the rebuild all the way to the replacement, and we work with people to help to do that. We've got people that have that do repair of appliances, as well as helping them to get new appliances from a company like Sears, for example, or anywhere that they would need whatever is needed to rebuild and get them back to normal.
Yeah, and you've illustrated a few times that you are the light at the end of the tunnel for people who think, my goodness, we've lost everything. You're the ones who come and say, you know what, not necessarily that you could even build a house that was burned down to nothing, sounds like, so that's good stuff. Well, Rob Sobieski and Joe Reichel, thank you both for coming in and doing the show.
It was great to be here.
Good show.
Thank you, Larry.
And if you need to have any questions answered off the air, give them a call at 622-5135. We'll take a little break and be right back.
Damage control.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.